Yes, sweet. Cool. My mic didn't mess up this time. That's good. Welcome, Gribbly.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, perfect.
Is mine? I noticed last time my PC was pulling from like my like webcam mic. Does the mic sound high quality or does it sound like roomy?
You sound delightful.
Okay, good. It's doing the right one then. Wait a few minutes for more people to show up.
Am I on the right mic?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you.
I didn't do the everyone paying for starting the event on this one because I figured everyone who RSVP'd get a ping. Is that true? If you guys RSVP'd interested, did it give you like a thing saying it was starting?
I got a notification at the bottom of my screen.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured the double everyone ping was maybe a little too much. Pull up the questions list here. Two people I know wanted to answer some questions real quick. And so you see them struggling to get on stage, just let me know or pull them up.
Sounds good. I'll keep an eye out.
And I know Carthage was gonna try to make it too. Let me.
And we have a few other staff in the audience, so if you guys are wanting to come up, feel free to raise your hand and I'll pull you up. Or you should be able to also right click on yourselves and pull yourselves up, but just in case.
Yeah, yeah. If you're Rec Room staff and you're in the audience, you should have the ability to like put yourself up on the stage. Sweet.
The
Okay.
group expanded so quickly.
Yeah, that worked. All right, let me find. Notice as always, we are recording these for people that can't make it, that want to watch them later on YouTube. So don't type anything out or say anything if we pull you up on stage that you don't want to be in a recording. So this is the recording notice. And we pulled, looks like we've got 17 questions from the creator forums thread. Those were everything that had 4 or more upvotes was the cutoff for this one. So unless anyone has any opening remarks or thoughts, I'll just start going down those and we'll try to get through as many as we can. I know Gribbly only has 30 minutes, so we're going to try to move pretty quickly through these. And then Gribbly, I didn't know if you wanted to give your speech
Yeah.
before.
Are we ready to get started? Are we waiting on anyone else?
I think we're good.
Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of start by kind of giving a sort of a blanket caveat for a bunch of the answers today. So Sean sent me the most upvoted questions. Excellent as usual. But I just wanted to kind of be honest and address an elephant in the room, and that is that like a lot of my answers are going to be no today to the things that are being asked for. And I didn't want to kind of for each answer be like, oh, maybe this, that, the other. I know, I often say things like that. So I just wanted to kind of lead with like, I'm going to say no a lot today, and I wanted to kind of share a bit of context on why, because we're not actually working on a bunch of this stuff. We'll talk about the possibilities and go in a little bit more nuance, but truth is, a lot of these things we're not doing right now because we're really putting a lot of effort into two major things. So one, as you will all know, is R2. So rooms two. We've been pushing super hard on that. And that's kind of taking up a lot of our bandwidth to kind of squeeze out the bugs, add the missing features, react to the feedback we're getting. So that is just taking up a lot of our bandwidth. And then the other one is, we are always trying to find ways to make creation easier and trying to make it more social. And we see a lot of potential right now in combining the cross-platform UGC platform that we've all built together with Maker AI as a new modality for creation. It's a really interesting and powerful new tool in the mix. And so we really want to kind of go in and figure out, how it works, what its role in the ecosystem is. And so that is taking up some of our bandwidth as well as kind of like figuring out how all of that works. So I just wanted to kind of be honest, is like that's a lot of where our thinking is going right now. And so that's, when I say, hey, no, we're not actually working on some of this stuff right now. That is why. And just to kind of, talk a little bit about Maker AI. I know not everyone's a believer in AI. And we're totally happy to have that conversation. But we think there's a really interesting potential here to support and expand creativity and use it in a way that really helps us with what we really believe in Rec Room, which is making creation fun and accessible and social. So yeah, just wanted to kind of like start with that caveat so that as we go through the questions, you've got context for why often my answer is going to be we are not currently working on that.
Yeah. Okay, that's good context. And then I think you also said you brought like a GIF and or some stuff
I,
you wanted to.
I tried to have a couple of things when we get to the topics. I can share some work in progress stuff.
Okay. Yeah, Gribbly brought some work in progress, like GIFs or images, so I thought people would be excited by that. Okay, I think we're gonna skip because I see Carthage is here. We're gonna skip down to question number 10, which was like a pretty involved circuits question, and I know Carthage has to leave pretty quickly, so I'll just read this one out and we'll start there. From Freaky the Mythical, is there any chance that we can receive synced list variables? And then the second part of it was, could we also expect to see the introduction of global variables in the future? And Carthage sent me a write-up on this, but I'll let him speak to it.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping this one up. Sorry, everyone. I got to run shortly after answering this. Synced lists I've written up some stuff about synced lists before in some Reddit comments and in some longer stuff in the Discord. Sean, actually, if you have that link to the Reddit
Yeah, I'll
thing
post it right now.
I posted, if you can drop that because I don't have it handy. I've written up some stuff about synced lists before. Totally understand the desire for it. Like the short answer is not coming really anytime soon, I think. Turns out there's a lot of hurdles to those, both from the language design perspective and from the technical perspective. Basically, like all of it stems from the fact that lists are mutable structures, the fact that you can modify a list. So even if there were no technical difficulties and I could just snap my fingers and they worked, question arises of like what happens when somebody tries to add something at index 1 of a list at the same like time on earth that another client tries to add something at like index 5. Like there, to be clear, there are solutions to these problems. Like this is what Google Docs has to do. But figuring out a way for that to work that would sort of be intuitive and sensible to creators is like a whole nother thing. And then the technical side of getting it working inside Rec Room's networking model is a little bit rough. There's some interesting ways to explore it where if we added like an immutable list type that you're not able to modify once you create it, there's some ways there, and we prototyped that and it worked, and it's blocked by some bugs in the type system. It's all very unfortunate. There's some more details in the write-up that I think Sean is gonna post a link to. Short version being not coming soon, unfortunately, despite the fact that you want it and we want it. Global variables, as this I forget the name of the person who asked this question, but this concept of like a variable that would like track across rooms, also an interesting one. Also one we've gotten requests for from time to time, and one like we understand the value of, right? Like I can think of cool things I could build with that. Also not anywhere on our current roadmap. So I don't even really want to say, maybe to this right now. They would have to look a little bit different from the way variables look today, as far as like giving you the ability to just like set one of these variables doesn't make a lot of sense when you could get sets coming from a bunch of different instances, like room instances at once. Kind of makes it just like impossible to reason about. So if we had, for example, an int one of these, we'd probably instead give you a chip that's like add this fixed number to this or subtract this fixed number from it. Way to do these is like atomic operations. All that said, this would require a bunch of like networking and server backing work that just like does not exist right now. So it sort of adds more weight to getting something like that in place than just adding a new chip or something like that. Which is why it really hasn't bubbled close to the top of the stack in a while.
Cool. All right. There's a very detailed for the circuit nerds answer. Thank you, Carthage. There's no way I could have properly conveyed most of
Yeah, I'm a circuits nerd. All right, I'll see y'all later.
that. All right. I think now we'll start back at the actual number one. By upvotes, we got this is from Gamer VR. Any plans for a revamp of the events page or system in general? And then we had a similar question from YT Chillwell VR, which is, will there be categories for the events page at any point?
Yeah, so this is my first one of like, hey, not anytime soon. The Gamer VR and Will Chill VR asking reasonable questions, and we've definitely like intended to iterate on the events in the past, but man, we just run out of time to do it. So yeah, we're not currently working on this. I don't think any of us feel like the events are great or that the events tab is awesome. But yeah, not currently iterating on it.
Cool. The next one we had is from Dragon Rat Tiger. When Avatar Studio is fully ready, will there still be a barrier to entry, or will every person with a PC be able to publish? And this was something Joe was going to answer, but I don't know if he made it. Is Joe here? Oh, there he is.
Oh, am I unmuted? Does that work?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sweet. Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think the idea of what is fully ready is worth saying, but I think what we're working towards is exiting a closed beta to a more public beta, increasing the numbers of people that have access. At this point, we're thinking of it as, you need to have Rec Room Plus if you're going to be publishing things. But I'm sure our thinking is going to evolve. In terms of a timeline, we have only a couple dozen people with access right now, and we're looking to get into a regular cadence of adding access to people. Not prepared to like announce exactly what those plans are, but I think we've had 3 waves so far of adding people to have access, and they've been very kind of seemingly randomly spaced throughout the year. And I think we want to get to a cadence where we're able to bring on a more consistent group of, maybe a dozen people, every X number of weeks. What's held us back is that we're still building our auto moderation systems to make sure that, things with good technical quality and things that, are not offensive and all of that get shielded, so that we're not sending avatar items in to crash your room, or create bad experiences. So I think that's the big thing that we're working against, and we're actively working on auto moderation tooling. Avatar items are uniquely challenging, as opposed to rooms, because of the surface area that they touch, and because you take those avatar items into any room that you go into. So that's why it's taken a bit longer than it did with rooms and auto moderation.
Cool.
Does that
Good context.
answer it well enough?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. No timeline, but those are the challenges, and we want to get to a more, stable release or onboarding new cohorts of people into that program. So I think that all
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, the only other thing I guess I'd say is that what we want to grow access in ways that don't just totally break the system too, right? Like we could flip a switch and say everybody has access, I think we want to see and very smartly grow the community, and yeah, really excited for everybody who's been contributing in the public Discord and making it a fun place to look at.
Yeah, the Avatar Studio stuff, those items that creators are making are really cool. It's always fun to see the new ones when they come out.
Super
Uh,
impressive.
okay, question number 3 is from Bongus. We really need more sophisticated user input detection. Abstracting user inputs into jump input, sprint input, etc. is extremely limiting in what you can do. So I think this request was around like wanting direct input mapping into like
Yeah.
platform specific controls.
Yeah. So this one, more of a maybe than a no, and actually more of a. We're actually doing some work on this right now. So yeah, I think there's some really cool new stuff that will come out relatively soon about being able to grab some of these events. This is kind of connected to the R2 vehicle work that I think we'll talk about in a later question. So we are actively working on R2 vehicles, and we're actually been working on some other ways to move objects around that interact really nicely with more sophisticated user input detection. So yeah, this one actually not a no. This one is like, yes, we're doing some of this right now. We see this as a pretty high priority way to get more cool stuff happening in your room. So yeah, this one we're actually working on.
Sweet. Next one is from games.gg. Will there be an API chip added? And I know this was something that's been upvoted pretty heavily on the creator forums, and I think
Yeah.
the people are looking to, call outside APIs to use in games and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, this one has been requested on and off, several times over the many AMAs we've done. It's a good idea. We like the idea. We are not currently working on it. We got R2 and Maker AI taking priority. But it's a cool idea. We don't have any kind of like philosophical objection to it.
Cool. Next one is from Goblino. Are there any plans for potentially editing the UI interface in Rooms 2.0?
Yes, so I wanted to. Is Goblino here because there is a lot you can do with Studio. So if you have access to Rec Room Studio, you can do quite a lot of this. That you can do pretty custom UI. Uh, so I'm kind of curious to know if Goblino has Studio access and that is suitable for their uses. That said, they talk about making a crazy cinematic room. And we don't really give you a way to hide a bunch of the UI. And I think that's something that we could look at for sure. But again, and I'm sorry to say it, not something that we're actively working on.
Okay. If Goblino's here and you want to clarify if you've tried Rec Room Studio for UI stuff or not, raise your hand and we'll pull you up. But I'll move on to the next one because I didn't see them raise their hand immediately. Okay, next one is from Chomper5554. What happened to updates on Nintendo Switch? Are there any updates on when Nintendo Switch will receive updates?
We want an update on updates.
Yes.
So the deal with Nintendo Switch is Nintendo lets us update the app once a month, where the other platforms were able to update them weekly, and it's really just as simple as that. So Switch just updates at a slower cadence than the other platforms.
Yep. Okay, I think this next one is a Joe question again from Sakona. A question about contests, but that could a question about contests, but could be seen as a general issue. How do you plan to make contest winners feel special about their cosmetics now that there are UGC avatar items?
It's a really good question. And I think the high level answer I give is that we're really thinking about that, and we have some features that we'll be rolling out. We're actively starting to work on that will bring new things to avatar items. And just like anything that we build, we like to take it for a spin and make sure that it works well, as our first party items. But ultimately, we really like giving the whole creator base as much of the tools that we use as is possible. So I don't see us holding back too many things from giving to the community. So if we did something like, imagine like animated textures on avatar items, you could have like cool animated lava effects or something. Like couldn't see us wanting to keep that for ourselves. We'd want, to empower all of UGC. So I think we can do a better job at times of really holding on to items and making them premium, because the only way that you get them is winning that contest, things like that. So we're going to be thinking about it, and I'll get back to people with maybe a better answer when we've formed one that we really like. But it is important to us that, yes, if we're going out of the way to reward you for something, we don't want it to feel like it was a cheap thing. We want it to feel like, this is really cool. I am just really impressed at the quality that we are seeing from UGC. But yeah, I also feel like our internal artists, as full-time professional, game artists, I love the stuff that we make. So we hope that we can find ways to really make it satisfying for you.
Yeah, I think the crux of this question is, I know people get very excited about, they were one of 3 teams to win a contest and they want everyone to know that. I think you could basically get that by, if you could like select an avatar item or see that item, you can see that coach made it. And then you could just have a short description being like, this was rewarded to like the top 3 winning players of this contest. So I think just with like the coach tag and then just with a description calling out the contest, you basically have kind of solved this issue.
Yeah, that's a good call. And I think there's definitely improvement that we can do in terms of, your profile and the ability to look up avatar items. Right now, it takes a good number of clicks to take a look at what somebody's wearing and see who made it. Not only for making our stuff feel premium when we give that as a reward, but also for UGC creators. We'd really love to make it much easier to, you see a player, ooh, that's the cool thing that Combi just made. And here's where I can. It just takes a few more steps than maybe would be ideal.
Right. And then once we get there, it should be easy to just tag stuff as like, coach original and like that it came from a contest, like possibly.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right. Next one is from Plush Trap WR. Can we get the Rooms 1.0 to Rooms 2.0 conversion explained better? As an R1 creator looking into R2, will my current R1 projects be randomly transported into R2 one day, or will they stay in R1 forever?
Yes. All right. Good question. So, to that specific question, no. R1 projects will never be randomly or without your involvement converted to R2. So we don't actually have the technology to do that, and even if we did, I don't think we would do it unless it was a completely seamless transfer. But yeah, no, not on the cards. So if you're working on an R1 project, you are not going to wake up one day and find that it's R2. That will absolutely not happen. We are leaning into R2. We think of it as the future of the platform, and that's really where most of our development effort is going. So we want people working on R2, that's for sure. But we think it's really on us to give you the tools that you need, give you the features you need, give you the performance and stability you need, rather than just, arbitrarily change your room into R2 without talking to you about it. So yeah, the rest of the comment and the question talks about, some of the things that we've added that are good. There's definitely more to do. I think there's a question coming about vehicles and stuff later, but those are things we're working on. I think we got a pretty good read on what are the most requested features for R2, and so we're working on those. But yeah, no, we are not going to automatically convert anyone's R1 room to R2.
Cool. Next one is jdraws.official. Will there be a feature for layers on canvases?
No,
Easy.
at least not anytime soon.
Okay. The next one was one we already answered. Carthage answered about the synced lists and global variables, so I'll skip that one. Next one is from AHTCS026. I don't know if this has been answered in previous AMAs, but are we going to get a symmetry tool for the Makerpen? We have the mirror clone, but I think it'd be better if we had the option for choosing 3 or 5 axes to be mirrored at once.
Yeah, this would be a cool feature. Again, putting it in the category of not something we're actively working on. We are working on Makerpen. If anyone has been using the Makerpen on mobile anytime recently, we've done a pretty big revamp of the UX there, with a goal of making it simpler and more approachable and smoother and requiring less mode switches and things. And over time, we want to kind of bring some of those improvements to the other platforms. So that's our priority right now with the Makerpen is actually kind of cleaning up and improving what we have as opposed to adding features like a Symmetry Tool.
Gotcha. Another one from Plushtrap WR. Will we receive more video content support in Rec Room? It's been a relatively hot topic for several improvements to the streamer cam. Will there be any sort of remaster update to the streamer cam system for Rec Room content creators?
Yes. So same category. No, it's not that we wouldn't want to add this. It's just not something we're actively working on. R2, Maker AI, those are the current priorities.
Yep. I know we've discussed in the past like a number of optimizations we could potentially make to that, but we've never really outlined a project for it or moved forward on it, especially because a lot of the people using it are on pretty high-powered PCs. So
Yeah.
all right, next one from Jeb Gaming. When can we expect more creation bugs to be fixed? And I think they were mostly calling out a lot of R1 bugs, if I'm correct.
Oh, right. Okay, that's interesting. They do mention R2 in the comment. So what I will say, like our focus right now is adding stability and features to R2. So I haven't clicked through and read through Jeb Gaming's exact bugs, but I know we've got people who will go and look at that. But yeah, R2 is where we're focusing most of our fixes and stability. And so, yeah, I don't know. Does anyone know if Jeb Gaming is asking mainly about R1 or R2? I interpreted that as an R2 question, Sean, but maybe I got it wrong.
Okay, maybe it was. Is Jeb here? Jeb, if you raise your hand, we can pull you up and you could call out
Yeah, we can
one
check.
or two specifically.
But yeah, just while we're waiting to see if Jeb. Oh, there we go. There he is.
Yeah.
There they are.
Oh, hello.
Howdy.
Hi. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them I haven't. I don't remember if I've explicitly. If I didn't explicitly mention rooms 2, I think they might still exist in rooms 2, like the transform tool not being undoable in the Makerpen. That's like one of the first ones that I've noticed.
Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'll go through this and I'll update this with whether or not I see them in rooms 2 as well.
yes, please.
But
So yeah,
yeah, some of these are just very old, which is my main reason I bring it up. I feel like if it's not a really big, like, game-breaking bug, sometimes it can go unnoticed for even like a year or more.
that is true. That does sometimes happen. Yeah. So this is a time where we are very focused on bug fixing and stability for R2. So yes, please go and update that list. We'll make sure we look at it. And yeah, something like the transform tool not being undone. I don't know if anyone on the dev side knows if that's still an issue, but if it is, we should fix it.
I have a comment at the bottom that is the ones that I have tested and I do know are still currently problems. Because the post was originally made back in like September, and so I made like an updated.
Okay,
comment
all
at
right.
the bottom.
So all right. So you're pretty confident that transform's not undoable right now in R2.
Yeah. I'm not sure about R2 specifically, but in R1 definitely. I'll go through on R2 and test all these as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
That'd be very.
That'd be
helpful. Thank
great. Yeah, if you update that in that thread, just DM it to me in Discord, and then I'll share it with the team.
Will do.
You can stay up here because you've got the next question too. So the next one is Jeb. When can we expect to see the remaining core features of R1 added to Rooms 2.0? And then you call out costume, holsters, and pickup and holster restrictions.
Yes, excellent. So yeah, so we are working. This is something that we're working on very, very directly right now. So costumes being actively worked on. I don't know the actual ship date, but I did have a little video, a little GIF. I'm just going to drag it into the chat and see what happens. I don't even know if you can do this.
Might be able to.
All right, there we go. I think it worked.
Ooh.
Well, it looks like a black screen to me.
It's
Meant to be a
me
GIF.
too.
Hopefully,
Oh, there we go.
hopefully it'll load. So this is just a snapshot. It's nothing super fancy, but this is just the R2 costume checks. This is in R2. We're working on getting all of the objects to attach nicely to the skeleton and work really well.
Oh, so not just shapes, but like props as well.
Yeah. So the cool thing about the way we're doing R2 costumes is exactly Jeb Gaming. They are not just shapes; they are just any R2 object.
Oh,
And so you'll be able to do some really, really interesting and fun stuff with the R2 costumes. So that is being actively worked on. So
very
hopefully
much
that'll
looking
be
forward to that. Yeah.
yeah. So the wait this shouldn't be a long wait on this one. This is something that we're working on. Holsters and pickup holster restrictions. I'm actually not sure the status of this one. Does anyone on the call from the Rec Room side know the status of that one?
I don't believe it is planned right now. We started on it and ran into some problems and then paused it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
not planned. I think it is something we should do though.
Yeah. So since it's coming up in this AMA, we'll take a look at it and we'll make sure we understand where it sits on the project list. The other R2 one, it's not in your question, Jeb Gaming, but the other one we're working on very actively is vehicles. That's been a very high priority question, request, I should say. And so we've got vehicles working. I actually think vehicles will come sooner than costumes. And then the other one we're just starting to look at because it's a very common request is better animation support in R2. I know that's a blocking thing for a lot of people. So those are all things we're working on.
Nice.
Oh, good.
That was a really cool teaser. You don't have a vehicles teaser, do you?
I don't. I tried to get one, but everyone ignored me on Slack.
All right, cool. The next one is from Panda Cat. Anything on full body tracking, I feel like it can be used for creating content and holotars, and I think Joe was going to speak to this one.
I love full body tracking. I hope that we get to work on it as soon as possible. It's not currently in active development, and neither full body tracking nor hand tracking. I think if we have a very successful number of months and are able to really knock out some of the big swings that we want to, I'd like to get back to thinking about that. There's a number of challenges kind of in the roadblock there, but I agree. Great way to create content, great way to socialize and really be fully embodied in the game. So I feel you on that one, and I want to get to it as soon as we can.
Cool. All right, got two left. We can get through these quickly, and then we can get to the very much desired contest teaser. So next one is from Nat the Pup. Can we have customizable portfolios similar to MySpace?
Oh man, this is my version of Joe's answer. Is like I would love to do this. I think it would be super cool, but not something that we're working on right now.
Cool. And the last one we had that had 4 more upvotes from YT Chillwell VR. As mentioned in previous AMA, the community's problem with Maker AI hasn't really gone up at all. AI art specifically, that said, can the team please consider the removal of the AI art aspect of Maker AI? So I think this is talking about image gen.
Yeah. So yeah, let me sorry, I want to make sure I am reflecting the question properly. So kind of the vibe I'm getting from this, feedback today is that hey, Maker AI seems interesting in general, but the AI image generation is the part that people are struggling with, not happy about. So the question is, can we consider it? Yes, absolutely, we can consider it. I get why people have mixed feelings, to put it gently, on this feature. It's for us, it's on a kind of a real balance. We understand that like, hey, we got 2D artists in the game that are super amazing, and I've had a ton of fun, both being involved in AI in 2D art challenges and just seeing the work that people do. So on the one side, kind of get that that's like a really special thing in Rec Room. On the other side, the ability to generate images and textures and wallpapers and things like that is a really, really powerful creative tool for people who don't have that skill. So let me ask the group a question, since I'm seeing a lot of feedback in the chat and I'm totally able to read it all in real time. Let me get a vibe check of like, if the image gen is focused on texture generation, so it's like, hey, you can make stripy wallpaper, you can make floral wallpaper, you can make interesting textures and kind of making that kind of easy. is that part kind of controversial, or is it really focused on the art canvas and you can make a picture of a a portrait of something or something really specific? Okay, I'm seeing like better, but maybe not good, but better. It looks like it's the canvas generation that's really the focus. Is that fair to say?
That's what I'm seeing. I think people just have such an emotional connection to the canvas, having drawn on it for like,
Yeah,
5 or 6 years, that I think it's hard for them to see that stuff. But I think that I haven't seen many people pushing back on texture
got it.
generation.
I gotcha.
Um,
Okay, yeah. So what people should understand about Maker AI is we are in a very explorational and experimental mode. AI is a relatively recent tool, and we think like any tool, it has upsides and it has downsides, and so we are really being open-minded about it. We really see a lot of potential. I want to be honest with people, like, we are pretty excited about the potential of AI. I will say I am personally very excited about it as someone who's worked in games for 30 years. Yes, I am that old. AI is a very, very interesting tool, but like every tool, it has its positive aspects, it has its negative aspects. But anyone who's been hanging out with Rec Room for any period of time knows that we are very experimental, that we are very iterative, that we try a lot of things. Not everything works out. But yeah, I think like we definitely want to like explore the AI space and really, really learn the potential of it. So the way it works today is not necessarily the way it works tomorrow, and so the feedback is really heard and valued. But I think you'll see us continue to experiment in the near term. But yeah, let me take that feedback and with image gen specifically, something that we're working on is really tweaking our models that we're using and experimenting with different ways of generating images. And I actually think that some of the texture generation is some of the more interesting and more powerful use cases anyway.
yeah.
And
Cool.
I see Ghoul Kid VR Gaming teasing me about being old, and I don't appreciate it.
I like the Gribbly yes no counter we had here. It
Yeah,
looks like
right.
you
Yeah.
came out almost 50-50.
Is that right? Okay. I figured I was going to be heavily no today. Oh, 7-5, Okay.
Yeah. Cool. That was a good one to end on for that section. Gribbly stayed a little extra. I know you've got to
Yeah,
take
I
off.
do need to run. Really nice talking to everyone as usual. Thanks everyone for coming to the AMA. Thanks, Sean, for organizing. Appreciate it.
Sure. Cool.
Bye all.
All right. So I think now we can get into the thing that we know a lot of people are here for, which is the contest teaser. So I will hand
Oh
that
no,
over
there
to
goes
Eden.
the chat. Hi. Hello, everyone. Have we made you wait long enough? Are you guys hyped enough yet? Maybe we should wait until the very end. We should go with the open question. I'm totally kidding. Hi. If you don't know me, my name is Eden. I'm working on the contest this time around. Me and my amazing team here. So I know you guys have all been waiting very patiently, and it's been quite a few months. And you're probably expecting a "Who's that Pokemon" teaser image. But with the new contest comes some new changes that we will be announcing soon. But for now, I'm excited to reveal something that we've been working on. It's an image with a very, very important date that you guys will all want to remember. So I'll be putting in the text chat here. Without further ado, here is your next build contest teaser image. I'm gonna let that sit for a second.
Nice.
All right. I don't know how long to give this. Sean, give me an idea when it's okay to
Just
start
pause.
again.
Dramatic pause for like 5 minutes. In case anyone can't read it, it says May 12th, 2025. In case it's not enlarging for some people, but it looks good. It's working for me here.
Okay, I'll go ahead and continue now. I feel like we've let it marinate. People are just going to keep going crazy. So I know you guys probably have a lot of questions, and we will soon be sharing more information, more specifically on the date on that trophy. But for now, it's time to get those maker pens ready. You can also start assembling your team. So just like the previous contest, each team can have up to 6 members. You can have less, but no more than 6. So if you'd like some help finding teammates, you can head over to the creator forums and link up with some other builders. We have some cool areas set up for that you guys can start chatting about it and some team members together. And I am so excited to share this contest with you. I know everyone else is as well. And we will get to see you guys all on May 12th. And it will be like last time with the video announcement. Got a lot of staff members in that video. We're excited to get to show you guys that.
Sweet. And just so that people don't have to direct people into this, like voice stage chat, I think Eden, you're gonna post it in the contest and events channel after this wraps
Yeah, I'll be
up.
sending it in like right now while we start doing the other questions as well. So yeah,
Okay.
but please stick around for the open-ended questions. I know a lot of you guys are only here for the contest, but it might be great to hear some of the questions that are coming up here.
Sweet. Yeah, if people have questions, do you want them to direct that into the contest and events?
I think for most questions, we'd like you guys to try to go into the creator forums for now and kind of chat in there. Like before you guys ask a question, try to see if someone's already asked it before. We're not giving out a ton of details yet because we want the announcement on May 12th to be big, and you guys are gonna get all the information you need then. But for any like specific questions you guys have or just little things, feel free to go to the creator forums or in the chats and Discord.
Okay. What section of the creator forums is it? Do you know?
I know
Do we?
Tex Mex Tater is putting the link in there already, but I'll
Okay.
let Orko speak more to it.
I didn't know if we had like a new category we made for. Oh, okay. Contests. Cool. I see. Oh, okay. So within contests, you click into looking for team, discussion, or show and tell. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, this section of the creator forums looks like a solid place to chat with people. All right, close that. One of the next things that we had on the schedule was we've we've been running the AMAs in this new format for I don't know 6, 7, 8 months now, and we just wanted to get general kind of like community feedback. Are you guys liking this format for the AMAs where we get the questions out of the forums, most upvoted gets answered, and then we do like a little bit of open chatter in the back half? How do people feel about it in general? I'm seeing positive thoughts like this format looks good. Okay, so it seems like people are pretty happy with it overall. Anything you guys would change or add? Curious. People think there's anything we should change up or that they would like to see in addition to what we're currently doing. Read stuff out of the chat as well. Yeah, I mean we could I know we did that in some of the previous ones, taking questions from chat instead of bringing people on stage.
I did collect a few questions from earlier, if you'd like to try and field some of those.
Yeah, let's just go down those.
All right, let's see now. So is Joe still with us? Joe is still with us. So we had a question from Valerie the cat about lowering the price of everything. I don't feel like costumes that cost $50 actually cost $50. Maybe you could speak a little bit more about this and what goes behind pricing or what goes into pricing.
That is a really good topic. I should say that I'm not an expert on the pricing of things, but I do know that we do talk about it a good bit and think about the direction that we want to go with the economy. Boy, game economies are so complex, and I think we are getting some really good feedback from players and as we study other games to get a sense of where are we in terms of how expensive or cheap different types of items are. And I think as we see that we are a distance away from where we ideally want to be, it's about identifying that and then taking steps towards that direction. So I'm being purposely very vague, but to be honest, like personal opinion here, I would love to see us figure out our pricing so that more people can get great items, and that you don't have to be a whale, to a high spender on the game to have cool things. So we're working in that direction, and totally, thank you for that feedback. Keep giving that to us.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And while you're still up here, Alec Plays VR was asking, when can we get custom Makerpen skins? I know people love making custom avatar items. What about custom Makerpen skins?
That's a really cool idea. So with Rec Room Studio and then Avatar Studio being a part of that, we see different studio subsets being added in the future. So it would be really cool if we had a consumable studio where everybody could make their own delicious edible things or items like that. And I think tool skins would be another potential category. So I think we think it's a really cool idea, and it's about getting the right group at the right time and priority on that project to make it happen. So no idea when we could kick off any of these things that I've just talked about, but it's something that Avatar Studio really lays the groundwork for more of those types of systems.
I'm seeing some pushback in the chat on people not wanting the ability to do Makerpen skins, and I think that's around the contest thing. I think that's the only way you can get a lot of Makerpen skins is from the contest. So I think knowing that's important for people, we probably wouldn't design or even discuss this sort of feature without looking into what we talked about earlier, which is how could you make it very easy to tell that a skin was from a contest versus made by a player.
Totally. Yeah, that's a great call out.
Great, thank you for that. One message there, one question or concern that came in from X Hawkins was, one thing I'm scared of is that us teachers are going to be replaced with Maker AI. I want to answer this question directly since I work with all of you in the class program. AI is never going to replace what all of you do. Most importantly, above sharing your creative knowledge, you also create these welcoming communities that players can come in and find like-minded creators. Will support each other and, create amazing things together. AI is never going to do that. AI, as far as creation in Rec Room and in classes, we hope that maybe some players will find it useful as a tool. Perhaps there's some builders out there who would love to make a full-on room experience, but really just don't have the circuit knowledge to do what they want to do, or that they just can't quite get the idea out of their head into a way that something can figure out. As a tool, we hope that it can be useful to get people over those kind of creative writer's blocks, or get them that experience that they want. It's maybe they just want to create a light switch, but they don't know how. They don't want to go to get it from the invention store. But in no way will it replace the passion that circuiteers have, just the joy that comes out of making those connections of wires between chips and finally making your silly little circuit creation work, and you can just stand back in amazement. AI will never replace that, because you're always going to be looking for that challenge, to challenge yourself and to share that creativity with others. So don't you worry. Your teachers will be just fine. All right. There was a couple of questions from our 2D artists regarding features. I'm not sure if anyone's around here to speak about them, but one of the things that Eyes, Draws, and Cheese has been requesting is, and many of our 2D artists are, new brushes, different patterns and everything like that, more canvases in R2, and perhaps even a custom size canvas. If there's anyone maybe who's still in the chat who would like to elaborate on that, or I don't even know. Sean, do we have anyone here who can answer to any of those new feature requests?
Which one was that?
This was Eyes, Draws, and Cheese, and perhaps others requesting different magic marker brushes to finish getting all the art canvases, particularly the dorm room one, into R2, and to also perhaps have a custom size canvas where they could set the X and Y.
I see. Yeah.
I can probably speak to this a little bit. I know there's no work happening right now for custom size or more brushes. But if the square art canvas has not already come to R2, it will soon. I I don't know where exactly that is in the ship cycle, but we have flipped the switch on it. So you will at least get that. In terms of expanded sizes or custom sizes, I think it's a really cool idea and I would love to, but we're not doing that at the moment. You can count that as one of Gribbly's no's if you want. He isn't here, so I'll make it a mark against him.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And of course, remember to put those on the forum in the feature request section, because that's where the developers are going to be looking for the most pertinent suggestions, because they'll get lost here in the sea of Discord messages. As far as questions from the chat, those were the majority of the pertinent ones that I got. Some people had made comments saying, "Please don't remove the legacy bean body," and even a little bit of hope that Barachi was expressing that Maker AI has potential, but they don't believe it should be able to generate images on canvases. So a little bit of repeat of what everyone else was already saying to us, but that's it for questions from the chat that I collected.
Okay.
I actually have an adjacent question for the community to the last thing that we were talking about. Mind if I ask?
Yeah,
people?
go for it.
All right. So if not saying that we are actively working on this, but if we were to add more to what you could paint on in terms of custom shirts abilities, things that we'd call paintables, what item types would people be excited to have in that? Hoodies, yes, we have a hoodie that we almost shipped I think a couple of years ago, but so I'm very interested to see if we can potentially get back to that. But I hear hats, hoodies. Anybody interested in maybe sneakers or anything like that? Cool. All right, but yeah, think about that if you want to dump a few more suggestions. I'm getting a good sense of what people would like, but wouldn't that be great? Just more paintables.
Joe, I was seeing a lot of questions around like where the kind of like avatar work is at in general between the legacy bean and the new bean and the full body avatars. Is there any sort of a kind of like a summary update you could give on where the different kind of like workflows are at for those things, or do you think we should save that for like a blog post or something in the future?
That's a good question. For now, almost 2 years, we've been talking about getting a roadmap together, and we've actually had several like drafts of our roadmap. And as soon as we get it up and almost ready to share with the community, something big at the company changes our plans, and we have to make big pivots. It's still something that I care about, is having just like a blue sky. Here's the things that we would like, and have people be able to comment and weigh in and +1 things. What I will say is we're running a test where we're kind of switching people back to the upgraded bean, and you'll be able to switch back temporarily, but we're trying to see, just metrics wise, how many people have just gone back and don't actually, have a strong opinion one way or another, or how many people are in that diehard group. We definitely will be sunsetting Classic Bean. We'll pour one out at some point. We don't have an exact date for that. We're really just collecting metrics and trying to make that as smooth of a transition as possible. I totally understand that it's it's a sensitive subject for people, and I think what we found is it seems like we've done basically the majority of the things that we can reasonably do to improve the bean. I think we internally are very happy with where that avatar is at. I'll say that, and then I'll get a bunch of tomatoes thrown at me, I know. But yeah, just really appreciate the community, how you have been vocal about the things that you care about, and sometimes we'll agree, and sometimes we'll just have to make a different decision to move the product forward. And we're really excited for how we were able to build the bean, the modern bean, to be well supported in Avatar Studio and all the systems that will go forward with that. So I don't have an exact date, but I think the time is coming. In terms of exciting new features, we're actually kicking off a couple of really new fun features that I think everybody's gonna like, but I can't really say anything about them. We put out body paint as an MVP, and I think there's more that we can go into with that and better painting on the body systems. That'll be a really cool thing to see if we explore. And yeah, I think we have some flashy fun things that will really allow you to enjoy moving as an avatar, whether it's on screens or in VR. So I'm excited about the where we're going, and yeah, keep poking for a roadmap, and we'll get one out as soon as we can.
Something I'm seeing pop up a lot is people asking, or it had a lot of emoji reactions. The question is like, what about drawing on the sides of custom shirts? Like when could people be able to draw on the sides of custom shirts? I wasn't even aware that wasn't a thing, but
It's not a thing. Yeah, and so what that is we actually have 2 UV sets for people that know a little bit about the technicality of that. The reason that we have that on the custom shirts is we can have the overall texture that goes the like bump of the cloth that can go everywhere, but then we wanted to get as much resolution as possible in where your painting goes. So we have a separate kind of layer that it gives as much resolution to the front of the shirt. And you can't then paint on the sides. So essentially, if we were to update that asset, it would break everyone's shirts, and it would look bad. So I think that's something that we will consider in new forms of paintable items, because we want it to, right? And now that we've got sleeves, we'd like for that. The balance is that with a 1K texture is the more surface area, the more it gets stretched. So I think for things like hats and gloves, like you all called out, it's pretty easy to make sure that we can let you paint on the whole thing.
okay, cool. Yeah, we're getting a lot of avatar questions, so if you got time, give you a few more and then we'll end around top of the hour. Looks like, I mean, we kind of spoke to this at the beginning. Maybe this person wasn't there, but they said, what is the future of Avatar Studio? And then we also had 2 people asking about Blender tools, question mark. So I think you might have mentioned something about Blender tools in the chat, and they're just wanting to know any follow-up information on that.
Yes. Well, and Sean, I'm working with you on the blog post that we're going to put out soon. So we will have
Yep.
a blog post. But yeah, I teased a little bit that our Blender tools are coming soon. So while we can't yet take on the horde of people that want to get into Avatar Studio in Unity and Rec Room Studio, we are prepared to give you our Blender tools, and it's we have a awesome tech artist, Joshua, who he's actually been working on our Blender tools for years now. And then I came in to help with a bit of design and really trying to bring it up to something that the casual user could use a bit more in a friendly way. There's going to be details coming out in our blog soon, but you're in the coming days going to be able to download our Blender tools. You'll be able to spawn in an avatar and start modeling on top of that. We have tools for weighting your models so that they deform with the avatar. So you'll be able to do everything of making avatar items up to implementing them in Avatar Studio. And so when we bring on coming waves of Avatar Studio creators, you'll just have a bunch of items if you make them, and be ready to publish them and see them in game right away. So very excited to see what you do with that. I also expect that some of our existing creators may want to, do some demos and record some tutorials. I have a base set of tutorials to get you started, and some documentation that the team has been working on. So excited to get that into your hands very soon.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're gonna try to get out all the Blender tools stuff that people will need later this week. So should be this week, could slip into next week, but should be this week. So that should answer all the Blender questions we were getting. I saw someone bring up, will we see the 4th Friday coming back? I actually don't remember that event. Does anyone on stage remember what 4th Friday was? No.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, it was a music event? Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I
This was like during COVID. We did like a music series, right? Where we had a few artists come in and do shows.
Yeah, I remember this. I'm probably not the most qualified person to speak on it, but I don't think we have any plans to bring those back.
Okay.
Right, that was like the Ethan Bortnick, and there was a couple other things too.
Was it like Rec Rocks? Was it not like
I
the
think it was
music?
after
of it?
Rec Rocks, people were saying.
Oh,
I
but
don't
Jeff's
think
probably
there's
right. I don't think it's coming
yeah.
back.
I don't think there's plans to bring those type of things back, but we are looking to do more community events in the future. It is something we've talked about. So nothing's for sure yet, but something we're looking into.
Okay, cool. um, let's see. I saw this one had a lot of emoji reactions. Are there plans for new textures in the Makerpen? Anyone know about adding new Makerpen or new textures to the Makerpen?
I know there are no plans for this at the moment. It's certainly not off the table. It's just falls into that category of it's not one of the couple things we're focusing on right now.
Okay.
What
The
texture would
question-
you want to see?
Yeah, that's what I was going to follow up with. What textures do you feel like you guys are missing in the Makerpen that you are like, oh man, I would use this all the time? Let's gather these. I'll copy paste some of these. I see
I see brick,
concrete.
I see concrete, I see a lot of glass, but unfortunately that is not a texture. So that one is a much spicier prospect. Leaf, cheese.
Like-
Oh, that wasn't a texture suggestion, but I would go for it. More
Jeez,
wood
that's-
types. I want more wood types too.
Okay.
Water and lava are not actually textures, they're shaders, but we are talking about ways to bring those. The problem with water and lava is that they depend very much on the UVs of the object, and we don't have a tool for like modifying UVs other than just scale. So it would be very hard to get water to work on a Makerpen, a collection of Makerpen shapes. So we'd have to think more about that.
Yeah, it seems like glass was the most requested one. So if that's not a texture, what
It's
is
not a
the
texture, that is a shader. So it's
Okay.
kind of in the same boat as lava and water. It's not completely unreasonable, but it goes back to what Joe was saying earlier about draw calls. Like glass can be extremely expensive, and it isn't always obvious what makes it extremely expensive. So it's a little tough to just make it a material. We
Right.
tried,
I
man. I tried on that one for so long.
I know people kind of hack it by like scaling up the martini glass and other things, right? I think I've seen people using that
Yeah,
for
and we
glass.
do have a customizable glass volume, but it isn't like you're not gonna get curvy stuff. Like, yeah, it's very limited, so I totally understand the desire.
Okay. Man, that set off a huge amount of. I gotta scroll all the way down this now.
I like the
Yeah.
marble, moss, and rust suggestions. Those are good.
Yeah, rust would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see rust quite a few times.
That's another that'd be cooler as a shader. Because you could have it do like edge wear.
There's kind of a hacky way to get marble out of using a combination of the rock texture and a like white colored piece of glass or whatever. You kind of just put that on top of the rock texture, and it makes a very nice looking marble.
Yeah, the combinations people come up with are pretty amazing.
Someone said Rec Room logo texture.
Glass, lava, water, and glass are not textures. They are shaders. Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna stand by that one. I know what I'm talking about there. The shaders involve textures, but they have some extra math in there to make them work.
Yeah. Seems like people are saying in lieu of that, more glass shapes that they could.
That one
hack.
is probably quite a lot easier. More glass shapes. That one is
Yeah.
a lot easier to approach. Still, we're focused on other stuff right now, but I can, go add some emojis to that item in the list.
Cool. I'm seeing some people talking about inverted tubes at the same time. I never really
Yeah.
knew what our policy was with those. I think it was like an accident, and then people kept using it, and it made kind of cool looking rooms. And
Yeah,
I think,
it can also, if you get too many verts too close together, it can kind of crash stuff sometimes. So we tried to prevent people from doing it just because it does actually introduce a little risk. Corner
what
shape. Can you explain corner shape? Do you mean like a kind of right triangular prism, basically? I'm also seeing some custom colors are broken. I'm curious to know how they are broken. I haven't seen that myself, but dulled. Interesting. Okay, I'll follow up on that one. That sounds like something we should really fix.
they're saying all custom colors come out more dull than your selection.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay.
And I bet
Is
I
that,
know exactly what that is.
yeah, is that
I bet the
related
color
to
space got messed up again.
the tricks that are being pulled to take the primitive colors that are part of the game and then get all the other colors in between?
I doubt it. I bet it's just a math mistake. We've done that before.
Math strikes again.
Asterisks again.
Okay, we can do one or two more, but we're at time, so we're gonna start wrapping up. It was kind of cool to take them out of the chat like this. Do you guys prefer us answering questions out of the text chat like this versus bringing people up on stage? I feel like we can get to more of them. Yes. Okay, I'll make a note of that we can do text chat going forward. Text chat. Yeah, the nice thing about bringing people up on stage is you do get like a more personal interaction. You get to hear their voice, but it also takes longer. I feel like we can answer questions out of the text chat, and we get some indication of like how important they are to people by the number of emoji. So it's almost like a second. If you didn't get your question in the creator forms, we can pull the most popular questions out of the text chat. Okay, that's good feedback. What did I see here? I saw one that had a bunch of emojis on it. Would there ever be a chance that we can get higher quality share screens? I think this is like, it's when you guys say higher quality share screens, are you just talking about higher FPS, or what is the specific thing you want with higher quality screen sharing? FPS, higher FPS. Okay. Yeah. I think we created this feature like early COVID, because we were like people, well, I think actually we were holding our big team meetings in Rec Room at the time, and we were using it for slides. So it was only updating like 1 frame per second because that's all we needed it for. And then we I don't know if players will even care about this. We released it and people really liked it. And I know we've talked about the potential of being able to update the frames per second, but I think nobody's really found the time to go back and uh, mess with the share screen that much. I'm curious who's using Square. Like, what is the use case for these share screens? Are people, playing games on the screens? Are you sharing images? Are you teaching classes, movie nights, hanging out with friends? Yeah, I'm just curious, like, what the use case is so I can communicate that internally. I know teachers use it. Yeah, teachers are using them. Ooh, art reference. Yeah, that's a good point. I have heard people using it. Skeletons for animation. That's interesting. Teaching references. Oh, Jackbox. That's fun. Videos, classes, references. Yeah, I think I mean, short of having another monitor or something, I guess it really is the only way to like reference stuff in game. I guess you could like look at a second screen or your phone or something, but it's not quite as good. Building references. Yeah, that's interesting. I think internally people are maybe thinking about it more as like, you're sharing video or images. So it's possible we might be able to get more attention on the share screen if people can like share in the creator forums, like, here's how I'm using it. I use this for references. If it's buggy or not higher frame rate, it's like slowing down my ability to build new rooms. So if there isn't already a like share screen thread in the creator forum. Someone should create that, and then you can all pile into the comments and be like, here's how I use it for references or building new rooms or animations. And if I can take that internally to the team, there's a slightly better chance we can maybe get some dev time on the share screen. But I'll need all of you guys to kind of like post how you're using it in there. If someone can find an existing thread, feel free to post it in here. Let's see. Okay, let me scroll through. Got time for maybe one more. Did anyone else see stuff that I missed that was coming up a lot that we should chat about?
Really, just people are asking why the share screen isn't active in R2. I believe the answer for this is, of course, we're looking to advance, parity between R1 and R2. Currently, the biggest demands are for costumes and vehicles. But as Sean has suggested, if you can make your voice heard in the forums about what you're using the share screen for, and hey, I really want to teach in R2, but I can't do it because I need the share screen to do my course plan. Yeah, put it on the forum so it can be heard and it can be known, and so change can happen.
Yeah, I know we did have that listed as like something for R2 classes that would be super helpful, is the bringing the share screen in. So I think it is on a top list somewhere of uh, stuff that we should bring into R2 at some point. See ZEIIBB saying, add a feature to be able to detect someone in a bean and full body avatar using circuits. I'm curious, Zeeb, or however you pronounce that, what's the use case for being able to detect like the style of avatar someone's wearing? Because this could be a Joe question potentially.
Are you just wanting to troll the people in your room?
To be able to switch someone in full body or being.
Oh yeah, we don't want to do that. And the reason is, so embodiment is a choice that the player makes. And we don't really like the idea of rooms being able to change how you want to be embodied in the game. I think if we got to a point where we had like room level custom avatars that so you could imagine a system way in the future where you could rig up your own avatar and provide animation for it, and it's just unique to your room, then I think that would be something that could be allowable. But when somebody decides like, yes, I want to be embodied this way in Rec Room, we try to do everything that we can to respect that throughout the experience.
Cool. Another one for you, Joe, from Death Strider. Can we ever get costume dummies for studio objects, not UGC costume dummies?
For studio objects, a costume for an object.
I think with the way we're doing the new R2 costumes, that should automatically work. That is my guess. Like
Nice.
you will be able to just use the new R2 costumes to attach studio objects to the avatar.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
I think.
Yeah, if
You
anyone
can
missed
blame
Hold
it,
you
me if
to
I'm
it.
wrong. Yeah. I mean, that's what you can do props and you can do circuits. So there's no inherent reason you couldn't also do studio stuff. It may just be like, it comes out a little later or something, but there's no reason that shouldn't work.
uh, an interesting question. Is it possible to have moving textures that the creator can animate?
Yeah, so we have some internal materials. I'd be curious, what's our thinking about it? Like, it would be really nice if we had just like a VFX shader that had some options and compiled down really nicely in Studio.
Yeah, we have a few in Studio, and it would be possible in Studio. It would be more difficult to bring it to the Makerpen, just because all of our Makerpen textures are very opinionated about how they tile, and you don't have any control over the UVs per se. But it would be pretty easy, and well, I say this not being a shader dev, but it seems like it'd be pretty easy to do in Studio.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a fun little project to spin up sometime.
Yeah.
Do one more of these. There are comments about like people wanting to say allow certain avatars or not allow certain avatars into their room, like allow full body avatars or disallow full body avatars. Is that something that we would consider?
I think there are some good use cases for building a room that is specific to one avatar style. We've done a little bit of prototyping in that way. I don't want to say a hard never. It's just not something that we're focusing on right now. So yeah, let's keep the discussion going, and we'll try to think of like really good use cases where we'd want to support that.
Okay. This is one for Trunks. People are asking for tier 5 for the teachers. I think they're asking for new avatar items. I don't know if you want to speak to this one at all.
Well, many teachers have gone way beyond my expectations of the amount of time they would contribute. Over 100, over 200. There's a handful there over 300 hours. I don't know what to say. I am amazed and forever grateful for all that you've done for the community. We could always consider different things. With Avatar Studio now, it is easier for us to, well, easier in a sense, for us to get new avatar items into the game. It doesn't have to be, shipped with an update or anything like that. Once it's ready, as our Avatar Studio creators have seen, it's like you can get it out there. So it could be possible. It's a matter of resources, and finding the right design and the right way to reward you for all that effort. Yes, bubbly is kind of a stand-in for, I would like to give you something, so I give you a bubbly. I'm sorry if that's insufficient, but I guess to come back to answer your question, I hear you, and this is something I will consider. So thank you for all your help.
Someone's calling out, Pan Knight's calling out an example of when full body avatars function differently for their room rec ballers. They were depending on the bean functionality where hands do not disappear and are floating to work, and I guess full body avatars can't do that. So that's one example of where like the avatars function differently for gameplay, I guess.
Yeah, I think like I believe we may have even talked, offline about this, but there's a couple of creators that I've talked to about those kinds of use cases, and I think the way that we'd like prefer to support that in the future would be like room level avatar outfits that would do the thing that you need. So you'd build something in Avatar Studio that so that your game mechanics wouldn't rely on essentially replacing the hands in a way that, to be fair, I would say, and some of us would say that it's a little bit of a hack that you're doing. It's a cool hack, but I think there are ways that we'd rather support those kind of things that involve Avatar Studio custom avatar items, as opposed to limiting your avatar choices. If that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Okay. Well, we are 15 minutes over, so I'm going to call it there. Are people happy with this AMA? We got the creator contest teaser out. We got the date. Gribbly showed off some of the costumes in R2. I think we got to a bunch of questions. We moved to the text chat instead of the audio chat. You guys like all those things? Seems like that's pretty good. This one was better. Cool.
The text chat spam made it a little hard to answer the questions.
That's true. We could.
I would love to cut down on the repeat giant text blocks.
Yeah. I think we can put it in slow mode. Like we could do slow mode every like 15, 20 seconds so that people can't post quite as much or whatever.
I think it's
slow
already at
mode.
15 seconds.
Oh, is it? Okay, well we might have to do longer. Anyway, we should be able to adjust slow mode to make it easier for devs to parse through all of these. I just end up scrolling up. If you scroll up in the chat, it stops it from moving. And then I scroll down slowly, but it does keep me from, I don't see like the live stuff happening until I scroll all the way to the bottom. Cool. Anybody have any last minute stuff they want to bring up before we close it out? I know Eden, maybe you want to rehash where you're going to be posting, or if you've already posted the contest stuff.
Yeah, I posted it in the creator announcements and the normal announcements. They're both up now and ready to go. There also is an in-game announcement for it as well.
Sweet. All right.
I need a nap.
All right, let's close it out. Thanks to everyone for coming. We'll announce when the next one is. I'll edit down this video and post it in the thread where we took the questions. If anyone missed it or wants to send it around, feel free to send the contest image around. And yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys out there in all the Discord channels.
Don't forget to say bye to Eric.
Bye, Eric. Yeah, Eric didn't show up, so we couldn't say bye.
No, he
to him.
didn't show up. We didn't get to keep it going.
Yeah, well, he'll be like a side character. He'll come in every few AMAs.
He's there for the plot twist.
Yeah.
All right. See you all later. Thanks for joining, everybody.
All right, see y'all.
Goodbye.
Now, wasn't that something? Oh, man. Stream rivals, say less. Say less. I got y'all. I got y'all. Oh, God, bro. You know what? Here, hold up. I got something special for you guys. Hold on. I got something special. All right, you ready?
Corbenz, get off the stage.
Look at that.
Get off
Look
the
at that.
stage.
Bro,
Get off
Nah, the people love me. They want me here. They saved the best for last.
Corbenz, get off the stage.
Oh, fine, fine. All right, people. I'll let people remember this image right here. All right. It'll be helpful for the contest, I guess. Probably not. All right.
Oh my god.
I'm not getting off the stage. They really thought.
Oh, drag you off. Don't make me drag you off.
Fine, fine, fine. I'm not really getting off the stage. She really dragged me off. How could you? Why do you keep kicking me off? They saved the best. You know. How could you?